You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. I don't know how I feel about people monetizing podcasts and doing sponsorships. I don't know. I would love to do that because at the moment it's very much through the publishing business, which I love. But I do also want to keep the raw aspect of it and not over promoted. What's your thoughts on that?
So we have 2 sponsors. One is consistent. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the turmeric company. They're like a turmeric shop. And I use them religiously through football. Like up until now, I never got them for free. Like I always bought it. And then I was like, actually, why the hell haven't I reached out? And then I researched them. I was like, shit, the founder's Thomas Robson-Kanu, who plays for Wales. So I messaged him on LinkedIn. He's like, I'd love to come on your podcast. Here's my marketing manager. I was like, actually, why aren't I trying to get them to sponsor? So now they sponsor the podcast. Not yet, but in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they just send us loads of free turmeric shots. And I'm like, actually, that was a great idea because I use them. The amount of sponsorships I see of people trying to flog really shitty clothing and which are clearly getting paid 100, 200 quid. It's not even worth it. No. It will fuck our audience.
Yeah.
And they trust us at the moment. They know I use turmeric shots because I referee. So and it's not shit quality either. It's really good. And most people in sports have heard of it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go and wear a really crappy t-shirt for 100 quid. It's not worth it.
That's the whole point though. And I think for me, I see a lot of people go for sponsorship on their podcast more because they need the money rather than they value the products. For me, I would be happily sponsored if anybody's listening to this or watching this and wants to sponsor the show, do reach out. But I would happily be sponsored if it's a product or service I would use. I have had people say to me, how much does it cost to come on your podcast? And I've said, tell me about your story. Let's have a chat and we'll see if it's a good fit. I wouldn't accept the money though, because to me, no, because as soon as someone pays to come on the podcast, it's a business transaction. And I'll be thinking, shit, I need to make sure, Liam, you have a great episode because you're going to want the footage.
But also, why are they paying?
Exactly.
Why?
They might not need to pay if it's a really good story. And for me, I know we say we obviously do this because we love it and what comes from it. But I love meeting people. Yeah. I love speaking to people.
If you have a good story, you're not paying.
No, exactly. And also, if they are paying, they have a really shit advisor because you shouldn't need to pay if your story is good and you can tell it in the right way, which is part of my publishing business.
Never heard that one.
I'd say at least a handful since I launched. Yeah. And we only launched in June.
I don't actually deal with the inquiries, so we might have done.
Yeah.
And I've always said we'll never pay minus expenses. That's fair enough. If someone's coming from Birmingham, we'll cover that.
Yeah.
But yeah, now maybe we do get inquiries for some really small people to paid to come on. I don't know. I might have to check.
You never know. Question for you. You mentioned that you've had some big guests. How did you start getting your guests? What process did you follow and what advice would you give to any podcasters listening?
So my first big guest was Nadia Essex. And I went on, she came on a year ago when it was virtual, so it wasn't really as good as it's doing now. And I messaged her going, hey Nadia, do you want to come on the podcast? She was on Celebs Go Dating. And she went, yeah. I was like, what? This girl with 200,000 followers who's actually engaged, she is engaged. She gets 150,000 views a video. I was like, shit. Okay. Yeah, come on. So I already had her contact and I had her number then. She gave me her number. And when I took it into person, I was like, why aren't I getting Nadia back on? She'll be the first. And that one did really well, blew. And then obviously people see that. Her followers see that because she's well connected. And when they like it, if you message them, it doesn't go to spam or something if they're Instagram sees it's mutually connected. So I messaged them. A lot of them got back to me. I was like, shit, fair enough. And now we're really selective. Sometimes we have weeks where that's why we do a backlog where we are shit, we haven't got a guest. Shit. Which is why we keep a backlog, which is something I do believe in. I know you don't as much, but I certainly do. But they will always be like a backlog, and they know that. Like, and they will get released. But if someone really interesting says, "Oh, I'm coming on," prioritize.
Of course it is, because again, it's a business at
Yeah,
the end
it
of the
is.
day.